I never imagined that one small mistake could change the course of my life forever. Yet that's exactly what happened the day he walked into my life, into my room by accident. My name is Lily Hart, and until that day, my life had been carefully structured, predictable, and safe. I had a job at the local publishing house, a tiny but cozy apartment in the city, and a routine that rarely deviated. My circle was small, my evenings quiet, and my dreams quietly tucked away between the pages of books I loved to read. But fate, with its strange sense of humor, has a way of shaking things up when we least expect it. It was a rainy Saturday afternoon when the story began. I had just come home from grocery shopping, soaked to the bone and irritated because I had forgotten my umbrella. My apartment complex wasn't fancy, just rows of identical doors along beige hallways, but it was home. I dropped my bags by the couch, slipped into comfortable clothes, and decided to spend the afternoon reading. The storm outside roared, thunder rattling the windows, and for once I felt glad to be wrapped in solitude. And then the knock came. At first I ignored it, thinking it was probably a neighbor, but when the door creaked open before I could even get up, I froze. A tall man, dripping wet from the rain, stepped inside. His eyes widened the moment he realized someone was there. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," he stammered, backing up instantly. "I thought this was my friend's place. The numbers. I must have misread." His voice was deep, steady, despite his obvious embarrassment. My heart raced, but there was something about him, something in the way he looked, both apologetic and genuine, that made me pause. He was undeniably handsome, but more than that, there was a kindness in his eyes, even in his mistake. "You walked into the wrong apartment," I said, my voice sharper than intended, though I couldn't stop the small laugh that escaped me. "Clearly," he replied, a sheepish grin forming despite the awkwardness. "I swear, this has never happened before." Normally, I would have closed the door right then and chalked it up to a funny mishap. But something about him lingered. Maybe it was the way the storm raged outside or the loneliness I hadn't wanted to admit. But instead of letting him go, I found myself saying, "You might as well stay until the rain slows down. You're soaked." His surprise was clear. "Are you sure?" he asked carefully. I nodded. "It's fine. I was just making tea anyway." That's how it started, two strangers sitting across from each other with steaming mugs, rain pounding against the glass. His name was Ethan, a journalist who had just moved into the building temporarily while covering a major story. He spoke with a passion that lit up his whole face, telling me about his travels, the people he had met, the stories that mattered to him. In return, I told him about my love of books, my job, and how small my world sometimes felt compared to his. Hours slipped away as though the storm had sealed us into a pocket of time just for ourselves. When the rain finally stopped, he stood reluctantly. "Thank you for not throwing me out," he said with a playful smirk. "And for the tea, I don't usually intrude on strangers, I promise." Maybe it was meant to happen, I found myself saying, half joking, half serious. His eyes met mine in a way that made my heart stutter. "Maybe it was," he agreed. From then on, everything changed. Ethan and I began to run into each other more often, sometimes by coincidence, sometimes because we made it happen. We shared late-night conversations in the laundry room, exchanged books, grabbed coffee on weekends, and walked in the park when the city seemed too loud. Slowly, what began as a mistake turned into a rhythm, a comfort, a companionship that felt startlingly natural. But with closeness comes vulnerability, and vulnerability brings fear. I had built walls around my heart long before Ethan walked into my life. Past relationships had left scars I didn't talk about, and trust wasn't something I gave easily. Ethan, with his open laughter and restless spirit, both inspired me and terrified me. Could someone like him, who lived for the thrill of the next story, really stay? Or was I just another chapter in his book? One evening, those fears spilled over. We had been walking home from dinner when he reached for my hand without thinking, and the simple gesture sent my thoughts spiraling. I pulled back too quickly, the words slipping out harsher than I intended. "Don't, please, I can't. I don't want to get hurt again." His face softened immediately. No trace of frustration in his eyes, only understanding. "Lily," he said gently, "I don't want to be another person who lets you down. I can't promise I'll be perfect, but I can promise I'll be real. If this is just friendship to you, I'll respect that. But if it's more, then let's not let fear decide for us." His honesty disarmed me. For the first time in years, I felt the walls around my heart begin to crack. And so, slowly, I let him in. Our connection deepened, not in grand gestures, but in quiet moments, sharing takeout on my couch, laughing at movies, sitting in silence when words weren't needed. Ethan showed me that love didn't have to be overwhelming or painful. It could be steady, kind, and healing. Yet the true test came when his assignment ended. He was offered a position overseas, one that could define his career. The night he told me, my chest tightened with dread. "So, this is goodbye?" I asked quietly, trying to hide the tremor in my voice. He shook his head. "Not if you don't want it to be. I walked into your life by mistake, Lily. But I don't think loving you is a mistake. I want you with MIN. Whatever way that works for us." In that moment, I realized something profound. Love isn't about perfect timing or flawless circumstances. It's about choosing each other, even when it's hard, even when it's uncertain. I chose him, he chose me. And from that day forward, the mistake that brought Ethan into my apartment became the best thing that ever happened to me. What began as an accident turned into a love story that taught me to open my heart again, to trust, and to believe that sometimes the universe knows exactly what it's doing even when it seems like a mess. After all, he walked in by mistake, but it changed everything between us forever.